No. Die Lotusfüße des spirituellen Meisters sind die Wohnstätte reinen gebungsvollen Dienstes. Mit großer ehrfurchtigen Aufmerksamkeit verbeuge ich mich vor seine Lotusfüße. Mein lieber Bruder, mein lieber Geist, es ist nur der Gnade des spirituellen Meisters zu verdanken, dass wir den Ozean materiellen Daseins überqueren und die Barmherzigkeit Krishnas erlangen können. Bitte mache die Lehren, die durch das Mund des spirituellen Meisters entströmen, einzig meinem Herzen und liebe keinerlei anderen Menschen mehr. Anhaftung an die Lotusfüße des spirituellen Meisters ist das einzige Mittel, spirituellen Fortschritt zu machen und das letztliche Ziel zu erreichen. Durch seine Barmherzigkeit allein werden sämtliche Wünsche erfüllt. Möge er, der mir das Geschenk transzendentaler Sicht gegeben hat, Geburt für Geburt mein Herr sein. Durch seine Barmherzigkeit offenbart sich göttliches Wissen im Herzen. Er verleiht einem reinen Prema Bhakti und zerstört alle Unwissenheit. Die vedischen Schriften besiegen seinen Charakter. O spiritueller Meister, Ozean der Barmherzigkeit, Freund aller gefallenen Seelen, du bist der Lehrer eines jeden und das Leben aller Menschen. O Meister, bitte sei mir barmherzig, gib mir den Schatten deiner Lotusfüße. Möge deine Herrlichkeit in allen drei Welten verkündet werden. Ich suche Zuflucht in deinen Lotusfüßen. Ja.
Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jayaratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayaratha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Krishna Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayorata Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayorata Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Sutra Satashmade Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Go Premanande Glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Chaya Udiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Hare Krishna. So today we start a new chapter. We're in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we start with chapter 2, which is entitled The Activities of Maharaj Agnidra. I'll just read, there is a little summary of the chapter, which I'll read, and then we start with text 1. In this chapter, the character of Maharaj Agnidra is described. When Maharaj Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son, Agnidra became the ruler of Jambudvip in accordance with Maharaj Priyavratra's instructions, and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for his sons. Once Maharaj Agnidra desired to have a son, and therefore he entered a cave of Mandhara mountain to practice austerity. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachiti to Agnidra's hermitage. After dressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidra was naturally attracted to her. The girl's actions, expressions, smiles, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidra was expert in flattering. Thus, he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband because of his mellifluous words. Wow, that's an interesting. Let me see. Einschmeichelnd in German. Mellifluous.
If you want, you can speak in German. I don't understand that.
No, we speak in English. Yeah, we always speak English. That just was a word I also didn't know. So the English word is mellifluous. And mellifluous means einschmeichelnd. So he was very flattering, speaking all kind of sweet words, and then the celestial girl also felt attracted to Agnidra. She enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidra for many years before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidra begot 9 sons: Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavatri, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. He gave them 9 islands with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidra, however, his senses unsatisfied, was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore in his next life he was born in her celestial planet. After the death of Agnidra, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Meru named Meru Devi, Pratirirupa, Ugradhamstri, Lata, Ramya, Shyama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devahuti. And of course, from the union of the first son of Agnidra, named Nabi, and his wife Meru Devi, was born Rishabhadev. Yes, and that will be in the next chapter, and that will be a main part of this 5th canto. The instructions of Lord Rishabhadev to his 100 sons, which is a very important section of the Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada quoted the shlokas of Rishabhadev many times. Yeah, so that's kind of the introduction. So, but in this chapter we hear the story of Maharaj Agnidra, who is the son of Priyavrata, and the father of Nabi, the grandfather of Rishabhadev. And it's described here how he desired to have a wife, and then Brahma sent this Purvachiti, and they enjoyed together, and they had sons, and because he was so much attracted to her, he went to her planet afterwards. So, yeah, some material motives, desires were still there with our dear King Agnidra. He was not a pure devotee in that sense, but still he was the grandfather of Rishabhadev. Certainly also a great personality. Okay, so then let's go to today's shloka, which is text 1. Again, we still have this not exactly traditional, usual meters to chant the shlokas. So just read them. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Pittari Sampravrite Tat Anushashane Vartmana Agnidro Jambudvi Pakshya Praja Aurashvat Dharmavekshamana Prayogapayat. Word by word, Shri Shuka. Shri Shukadev Goswami Uvacha said, Evam, thus, Pittari, when his father, Sampravrite, took the path of liberation, tat anushasane, according to his order, avartmanaha, situated, Agnidra, King Agnidra, Jambudvip Okasha, the inhabitants of Jambudvip, Prajaha, citizens, Aurasavat, as if they were his sons, and Dharma, religious principles, Avikshamanaha, strictly observing, Prayogopayat, completely protected. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued. Yeah. After his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, departed to follow the path of spiritual life, by undergoing austerities, King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principle of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvipa as if they were his own begotten sons. So several interesting points here. That first of all, Maharaj Priyavrata, he resigned and focused on spiritual life. Although he was a great ruler, at some point he resigned. Sometimes we see rulers who are very attached to their position and then they want to stay in power, although they are actually very old and they should prepare. So Priyavrata gives the example of resigning. And then also King Agnidra, the next generation, he gives an example of obeying and accepting responsibility, following the instruction. And he ruled as a Raja Rishi, or as a true king who follows the principle of religion, and he gave full protection to the inhabitants as if they were his own sons. Prabhupada's purport. Following the instruction of his father Maharaj Priyavrata, Maharaj Agnidra ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvip according to religious principle. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness. So today we have just the opposite. As clearly stated here, the king protected the citizens the way a father protects his begotten children. How he ruled the citizens is also described here. Dharma vekshamanaha, strictly according to religious principles. It is the duty of the executive head of a state to see that the citizens strictly follow religious principles. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashram Dharma, the duties of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashrams. Dharma refers to the principle given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma or religion is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the people's qualities and activities, society should be divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishya and Sudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grihasthas, Vanaprasthas and Sannyasis. These are the religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of the state to see that the citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially, he should be like a father who is always a well-wisher of his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. Just contrary, the principles mentioned here, the presidents and chiefs executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activities, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore they cannot follow religious principles. In contrast to the principle of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali Yuga the government will be entrusted with Dasyu Dharma, which means the occupational duty of rocks and thieves. Rocks are, wie sagt man, Halunk, Betrüger oder Gauner. Gauner und Diebe. Gauner means not dishonest people. Huh? Dishonest people and thieves. Rocks and thieves plunder without regard for law, but in this age of Kali, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation and famine. The Krishna conscious movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Haribol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shukadev Goswami continued after his father Maharaj Priyavrata departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities. King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principle of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvip as if they were his own begotten sons. So this is the first shloka in this chapter, giving the introduction and describing how King Agnidra took over the rulership and how he was a perfect Raja Rishi. Raja Rishi means a king, but also a Rishi, a saintly person, a saintly king. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that ruling according to religious principle is the duty of a king. And Prabhupada then compares the Vedic leadership to the modern Kali Yuga leadership. And then makes the point that the Krishna conscious movement is the only hope. So let's try to talk about this a little bit. So first of all, and just in brief, because we know this, when we read Prabhupada's books, this is a topic that comes up quite often, especially in the first, not only, but in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada very elaborately, in detail, describes about the duty of a king in regards to Parikshit Maharaj and Yudhisthira Maharaj. In the fourth canto we find description of Prithu Maharaj, who was an exemplary king, many chapters, many purports, and of course Lord Ram is also considered to be the ideal king, and the Ram Rajya, the kingdom of Lord Ram, is still considered to be the ideal kingdom. And even in politics today, Indian politicians, they will speak about, we will establish Ram Rajya without Lord Ram. We want to have the kingdom of God without God. But that doesn't work, you only get the Ram Rajya if you put Ram in the center, and that's usually what they forget to do. Of course, Prime Minister that just established the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, we have to give that credit, which is nice. But it's more than just establishing a temple. Of course, it's about putting Lord Ram in the center, and also making sure that all the citizens have this Ram consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So the king, the monarch, actually in Vedic times, he is, first of all, what is the qualification to become a king? one has to be a pure devotee of the Lord. That's the first step, which is already very rare nowadays. So a king is supposed to be a pure devotee, and then he actually is a representative of God. He's a Naradev. He's a human being, but as a human being he represents God in this world. That's the king. And who becomes the king? One who best protects the citizens. The one who is best able to give protection to everyone, he becomes king. And that's the king protects the praja. Praja means the citizens, those who live in the kingdom. And praja not only refers to humans, but it also refers to anyone who takes birth in that country or in that place that he rules. Any person, that means also animals. That means the king also gives protection to the animals, the cows, and other animals. And not only that, as Prabhupada makes the point here, is not just an administrator who's doing his job, but actually he protects his praja, just like a father protects his children. I mean, that's quite a powerful statement. In a sense, it means there's also, there is love, there is emotions involved. He really cares for the citizens. He really wants to make, best for everyone. And the important thing, he established dharma. And he maintains dharma, makes sure that dharma is prominent. And so he protects not only from the rocks and thieves, but also from inauspiciousness, from sinful activities. So in other words, we can say the Vedic king not only protects from the enemies outside, but he also protects from the enemies inside. That means he makes sure that everyone lives a pious life, that everyone is pious, and that sinful activities is kind of, reduced or not existent actually. So in other words, if he protects the praja from from entering to hell, and if a single person actually enters hell because of his sinful activity, then it's the king who is responsible for that, because the king was not able to protect that person. So the king is, very responsible, and he makes sure that everyone is a pious person, and therefore he established dharma. Sorry?
Yeah, you need the respect for the people. Need to have respect for.
Yeah, the people will very naturally respect the king because he's like a father. He's a very loving father, and he only wants the best for everyone. So naturally, people will respect him. Yeah. We will have some time for questions at the end or comments. So he will establish a dharma, and of course, when we speak of dharma, we understand that dharma means religion. Dharma also has different aspects. When we speak of religion, okay, then it's Sanatan Dharma, right? Sanatan Dharma is the eternal Dharma, which is, every living entity has a relationship to Krishna, and that needs to be promoted. But then also there is Manusha Dharma. There is just the ethical, moral behavior of a human being. In order to be counted among humans, you also should behave like a human. And that's the Manusha Dharma. You don't steal, you don't... Most religion here, they speak about this Manusha Dharma. It's actually not so much about Sanatan Dharma, it's just the basic principle of morality. And then there is a Swadharma. Everyone has a personal life mission, we can say, or a personal duty to fulfill in this life. And there is the social dharma, or the Varnashram Dharma. According to one's Swadharma, according to one's nature, one should be engaged in a particular duty. And the king makes sure that everyone is situated properly. So that's the ideal. Sounds very idealistic and beautiful, and and we hear the description in the Bhagavatam of such places, But now, so today, what do we have? Kali Yuga. We have a secular state. And it's interesting, why do we have secular states? Because in the past, we used to have religious states also. A religion and government was very closely connected. And even the concept that the king is actually empowered by God, or he represents God on this world, this was also here in the West, this was also the understanding. The king is chosen by God, and he actually represents God in this world. The same principle was there. But then what happened? The leaders, the kings, the monarchs, and the church, they misused their power, right? And we don't have to go into history, but so many things happened. And of course in India as well, the Brahmanas also misused their power, but especially in the West, when we look at the development of the church and the Kreuzzüge, how you say in English? Kreuzzüge? Crusades, the crusades of the church, like those who are not Christian, just kill them. And if you're a soldier, then you don't get any sins for killing others. Just so by doing all of that, there was a revolution, and at some point, religion was put aside, and we have secular state nowadays. And in that secular state, of course, unqualified leader are there. Like the unqualified people, they select the unqualified leader. And what is the result? Dharma is lost. There is no Sanatan Dharma. I mean, how much Sanatan Dharma do we find nowadays? Yeah, religion is there, but it's a private thing. If you like, you can do it, but you don't have to. And actually, the mainstream understanding is religion is for those who need it. Like a crutch. Like if you break your leg, you can't walk on your own, so you take some crutches, so Krücken, to walk properly. So religion is like that. Like if you're not enough self-confident, if you have some problem in life, you need some support, take to religion. That will help you. But actually, if you're a healthy person, you don't need religion. That's kind of the mainstream understanding. What? You're religious? Why? Like, this is very uncool to be religious. So that's there, and then of course, Manusha Dharma. Yeah, some moral and ethic is there, but if you look closer, like all the animals are slaughtered, and people eat meat, and intoxication, and illicit sex. So what kind of moral is there? What Manusha Dharma is there? Social Dharma, it's completely upside down, and Swadharma, people don't know what is their duty, have no idea what is their meaning of life. So that basically means it's a very headless society, and Prabhupada would say headless society means hellish society. It's a society who is making very fast progress in the wrong direction. Like it's good if you make progress. It's very good if you make progress. But then in which direction do you make progress? So in Kali Yuga, it's a society that makes a lot of progress, but in the wrong direction. Basically, it creates a society where people, go towards hellish life. And I remember Chandramauli Maharaj once, and I think also Radhanath Maharaj, they gave interesting examples of how we can measure the progress of Kali Yuga. Of course, you don't need to be very philosophical, or you don't need to read Shastra to see the progress of Kali Yuga. Today's problems, the problems of the world, like all what we have today with all of the wars, conflicts, discrimination, nuclear weapon, the threat of nuclear war, climate change, all these things are evidence of the progress of Kali Yuga. But yeah, still, I found it was interesting example that Chandramauli Maharaj gave. He said, in 1850, many years back, in 1850, if you go to a marketplace, you find mainly what you need, right? Like 95% of the articles would be articles that you need for life. Food, clothing, maybe tools, different things. And then maybe 5% were luxury or things for entertainment, and which actually are useless just for extra. Nowadays, if you go to a market or to go to some shopping center, what do you find? You find 95% things you don't need and 5% things of maybe you're, okay, there is food stores, there is food still there. But you find so many non-essential things, you know. I mean, all these shopping malls are filled mainly with non-essential things which you don't really need. So, and then this we call this progress. Right? And Radhanath Maharaj made the example of major problems at schools. I'm sure you have heard this before. You know, like if you go back in time, maybe in the 50s, the 60s, what were the major problems that teachers had to deal with in schools? What do you think? Yeah, some boys, they were maybe fighting with each other. Yes, okay. Some running in the halls and talking without. And the main problem was chewing gum. Okay? Chewing gum. They were chewing during class and put the chewing gum underneath the table and sticks everywhere. This was a major issue, you know. How do we deal with this chewing gum? What are the major problems today in American schools? Mobile, yes. Well, yes, drugs, violence, shooting, you know, mental disorder, mental issues. You know, some students get crazy, they take a gun, shooting at teachers, shooting at other kids. This has become a real serious problem. I mean, all the time you find reports of, you know, kids going crazy because the whole childhood they play these games where they always shoot people and then they just take a gun and do it. Addiction, drugs, pornography, rape, the whole diversity, inclusion challenges. So, you know, okay, what is, you know, chewing gum and then you have this kind of problems. So you call this advancement, right? So we are advancing. Actually, society becomes more and more crazy. And the problems become more and more really very, very serious. So in this way we can see that Kali Yuga is really progressing in a very fast-paced. So in the Mahabharata we find also a story that describes this, and most probably have heard this story, and there is different version of the story also. That's how I heard it. So this describes the Kali Yuga and the path to more God-conscious life. So King Yudhisthira received 4 guests, one after another, who had very extraordinary experiences. Or actually, I think it was Bhishma who guarded, and before people would go to Yudhisthira, I mean the king was open to speak to anyone, but still Bhima would be there and first speak to people. And so they came, four people came and they told their problems or what they have seen, and Bhima was kind of very strange. So he reported to Yudhisthira in the evening. So the first person that came said, you know, I have planted a garden with beautiful flowers, bushes, trees and fruits, but when I put up a fence to protect the garden, that fence became alive and destroyed the garden. That's quite strange. Like, you have a nice garden, you put a fence, and then the fence itself destroys the garden. That's very unusual. Okay. Then the second person saw how a large elephant was walking through a wall. Not breaking the wall, but walking through a wall, mystically. But he got stuck in the wall with its tuft of tail hair at the end. No, he was stuck in the wall. His whole body fit in, but at the end, the tail stuck in the wall. He couldn't move. The third person came to Bhishma and he said, I want to speak to the king. I saw something very unusual. I filled, there was a bucket with water. And then I took that water from the bucket and put it into 5 cups. And then I poured the content of the cups back into the bucket, but there was hardly any water left, although no water was split anywhere. No? Water was in the bucket, cups, back, but almost no water left. Why? Why this happened? Bhishma said, I don't know, you know, like today is a very strange day. People come with all kind of strange stories. I don't know. And then the first person, finally, he got lost somewhere in a rocky mountain, desert-like area, and found himself in a very scary, dark desert landscape until he discovered a small little plant. The moment he plucked the plant, all the darkness disappeared and light and love flooded the atmosphere. It was a more positive experience, but also like mystical. How is it this? What is the meaning? So then Bhima, he was perplexed when he heard all these mysterious tales. So in the evening he went to King Yudhisthira and described the mysterious messages. And the King Yudhisthira was able to explain what it is. And Yudhisthira explained these 4 stories, they symbolized the age of Kali Yuga. The symptoms of Kali Yuga are described through these evidences, through these stories. So what was the first one? And this is relevant for today's shloka. The garden represents the people and the fence represents the government. The people elect the government and the government, once elected, exploits the people. You know? You have a nice garden and you put a fence, but then the fence destroys the garden. This is the people, you have nice people, and the people elect the government, and then the government exploits the own people. That's Kali Yuga. That's one of the major symptoms of Kali Yuga as described in Mahabharata. So no surprise that we are in a situation we are today. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada describes in this purport. That rogues and thieves, go into politics and they kind of manipulate things for their own business. You like to hear the other 3 also? Okay. So the elephant who walks through the wall but is stuck with the tail. The elephant represents the powerful, and the tuft of a hair on its tail represents the ordinary citizens. Those who have money and power can buy justice and get away with anything, but the little man remains hanging and is innocently condemned. So the big people, they can just buy justice and they get away with everything. But small people, they will, be punished for little things. So that's another symptom of Kali Yuga, that justice is not anymore. It's hard to find true justice because you just pay. And if you're big and powerful, you can do any nonsense. And if you're a small person, you will be punished for every small thing. And what is the bucket? The bucket symbolizes the parents and the cups the children. And the water symbolizes love. Although the parents invest so much time, attention and love into their children, hardly anything comes back from the children. The bucket is full, but the cups, they don't return anything. So parents give so much, 20 years of their life more, they invest into children, and then the children walk away, have no interest. The old. And if they're old, they put them in old age home. And so that's another symptom of Kali Yuga. Okay, so these were 3 negative symptoms, but there's one good. At the end we saw there was a desert, and just plucking that little plant, all of a sudden there was light and love. What is this? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And finally, the desert landscape represents the problems of Kali Yuga in general, and plucking of the green plant represents the praising of God's name, Harinam Sankirtan, dispelling any influence of dark ages, allowing God's love to shine through. That's the good. The only good quality in Kali Yuga is that there is the holy name, the chanting of Hare Krishna. That's also what the Bhagavatam says. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. That Kaler dosha nidhe, the Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. It is full of mistakes and difficulties. But there is asti eko mahan guna. There is one great quality. What is that one great quality? Kirtanat eva krishnasya, the chanting of the holy name, which awards liberation to everyone. That's the only good quality. And that's why we should take shelter in that good quality of Kali Yuga. And of course, that makes the Kali Yuga actually very glorious. Even so much so that even the devas, they line up and they wait to take birth here. Because although everything is, it's an ocean of mistakes, it's called Yuga, but that one thing which is that by chanting the holy name one can easily attain perfection in life and go back home, back to Godhead, that's a good quality in Kali Yuga. And that's why Kali Yuga becomes actually a very glorified age because of that one good quality. And that's why Prabhupada says in the purport, the Krishna conscious movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. And it's interesting when we study Prabhupada's books, there is, in the systematic study, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, we have these different aims of study. One is understanding and personal application, and so on. And one is Prabhupada's understanding Prabhupada's mood and mission. So if you read, especially Prabhupada's purports, then from time to time we come across these kind of statements where you can really feel, here Prabhupada is speaking from the heart. This is Prabhupada's mission. No, he wants to, he makes the point, this is my mission. And this is one of these statements that no, it's the only hope to save the world. It's quite a powerful statement, you know, like. And of course, Prabhupada would understand that restoring that spiritual awareness in the human society is what is actually needed. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also would say, the only thing that is missing in the world is Krishna consciousness. That's the only thing is missing. And Prabhupada understood that by promoting, spreading, sharing Krishna consciousness, this will actually restore the spiritual awareness. People should awaken again to spiritual life, because that's the only thing that is missing. And that's also the only solution to material problems. There are so many problems, and we always try to find some material solution to fix the problem, but it's not really working. We need spiritual solutions to the material problems. And so there are many statements. I have a few here. Prabhupada says, at the present moment, practically the entire world is afraid of rocks and non-devotees. Practically the whole world is afraid of rocks. But it's true, you have these different dictators, different, they lead wars and all these things. So therefore this Krishna conscious movement is started to save the world from irreligious principles. Everyone should cooperate with this movement in order to bring about actual peace and happiness in the world. Human society should be saved from such risky civilization and the danger of animalism by awakening to God consciousness. The danger of animalism. There is a danger we become animals. If you don't have religion, then you degrade yourself to the platform of just eating, sleeping, matting, defending. Become like animals. So the Krishna conscious movement has been started for this purpose. Therefore, unbiased men of the highest echelon should study the principle of Krishna conscious movement and fully cooperate with this movement to save human society. So that principle of saving the world, you can find it again and again in Prabhupada's statement. Prabhupada speaks to a group of Christians in a monastery. We invite all learned scholars, priests, philosophers to combine together and save the world from this fall down without God consciousness. So Prabhupada very broad-minded. He also wrote letters to the Pope. Dear Pope, let's cooperate. You're a powerful man. You're influential. I have a good message. God conscious. Let's work together. Prabhupada was very open-minded. If actually someone would have, Prabhupada would be very broad-minded to connect and cooperate with other religion, do something. But of course, usually people don't do that. But Prabhupada was very broad-minded. So this is our request. So I think you all respectable priests and fathers will kindly help me in this mission, and I shall be very much obliged to you. And of course there is this famous statement, once Prabhupada in London in 73, Prabhupada told to his disciple Guru Das, one day scholars will note how this Krishna conscious movement saved the world in its darkest hour. Prabhupada made that prediction or that statement. No, maybe not now, not yet. We're still working on being recognized as a proper religion. But in the future, people will look back and say, hey, this Hare Krishna movement actually saved the world in the darkest hours. This is what Prabhupada's prediction is. So, how do you feel when you hear these kind of statements? Inspiration. Haribol, get out, let's get out, do Harinam, save the world. Yes, okay, it can give inspiration. We have a mission. Now we have done this interview for the brochure. Goralila Prabhu said that when they had the first Ratha Yatra in Zurich at the main Bahnhofstrasse, in the middle of the night they were bringing the chariot, and they felt like heroes. Like now we conquer Zurich. No, now we enter Zurich, we conquer Zurich. In 10 years Zurich is ours. Like the head of the state will has tilak, and we will conquer the world. That was the spirit in the 80s and the 90s. And so there's some innocence there, and of course it's a good spirit in the sense of enthusiasm and preaching. But there is also the downside. It can also become a little fanatical, and reality has shown it's maybe not so easy. You won't change the world overnight. I don't know, if I read these kind of statements, I feel like, oh my God, leading the world, maybe we should first lead our own society. There's so much chaos in our society. It's hard to lead our own society. And what to speak of our own society, maybe let's lead our own yatra, let's lead our temple, let's lead our lives. Are we ready? Are we actually ready to? Let's imagine all of a sudden the United Nations, they have a change of mind. Krishna appears in the dream of all the leaders, tells them, the Hare Krishna people are the actual people. They should take over. Imagine, all of a sudden the great leaders of the world will tell, okay, now the Hare Krishna people should lead. Would we be ready? I don't think so. So. Yes, and of course, in order to become ready, first of all, we would have to become really Krishna conscious. And that's another question: how Krishna conscious are we? We may put tilak and dhoti, chant Hare Krishna, but how much are we different from the ordinary person? So how much have we changed? And that could be another whole lecture, which I actually prepared, but time is up. Which is kind of, what is the test of Krishna consciousness? I mean, that's when I read such statements, change the world, and also like here Priyavrata, he resigns and Agnidra takes over. This is also what happens in our society. Prabhupada's disciples, they're all slowly leaving, they're resigning, and then the next generation, we are the next generation to take over this movement and to lead this movement. So are we ready? That kind of the question which comes to my mind. And of course, so when we ask ourselves, how much do I have actually become a devotee? How much have I advanced in Krishna consciousness? Sometimes I think it would be nice to have a barometer, sometimes if you have some fever, you put a barometer here. How you call this? Thermometer. Thermometer you put here, and you see how much fever you have. So it'd be nice to have something like this for, judging your spiritual advancement. 100% is like Krishna Prema. So how much percent do I got? 25%, 53%, more, 75%. How much percent do I get? It would be nice to measure, to know how much Krishna conscious I am. But actually Prabhupada gives hints. Prabhupada in different places, he actually makes his points. This is the test of Krishna consciousness. If you feel new energy, then you know that you are serving spiritually. This is the test. Your enthusiasm will increase, not decrease. So the test is within your hand. If during Mangal Arti you feel laziness, that means I'm not yet spiritually advanced. And if one feels enthused, now it's time for Mangal Arti, let me stand up, let me do this, then it is spiritual. Anyone can test. Anyone can test. So Prabhupada gives a few such and there's several statements where Prabhupada says test. Okay, one is you feel new energy, that is happy. Another test is devotee means the first sign will be happy. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. If he's not Prasanatma, he's a rascal. He has not entered even devotional life. He's outside. Powerful statement. So Prabhupada says, devotee means happy. If you're not happy, actually you're not have really practiced Krishna consciousness. You're outside of Krishna consciousness. That is the test. If you're still in want or unhappy, that means he has no spiritual life at all. He's simply making show. And another, and we'll just end with this, another sign is a natural detachment from matter. The symptom is that two things, lust and greed, will not disturb you. You haven't got to take certificate from anyone. Just give me certificate that if I become Krishna conscious. You take your certificate yourself. See yourself whether you are free from lust and greediness. That is the certificate. Nowadays, we're so much into certificate, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, disciple course, this and that. Which is okay, it's good, we need to have education. But then we put our certificates on a wall, I got this degree and that degree. Nice. But the actual certificate is how much have you become free from lust and greed. That certificate you should get. That is the test. And Prabhupada says, by the result you can understand. By serving to Krishna, he will understand more about Krishna. Krishna will become clear to him. That is a test. If Krishna is still a vague idea to him, then he has not advanced. That is a test. So that's another sign. How much do you know about Krishna? How much is Krishna become actually a reality in your life? Just like if you have eaten something, then you feel satisfaction. You're hungry. You have been given some food, but you cannot say that I'm eating. I'm not satisfied. So the point is, if you eat, you don't need someone else to tell you. Now you're satisfied. No, you feel it yourself. You eat with every bite. You understand. Now I feel good. I have eaten enough. So similarly, in spiritual life, if you actually make progress in spiritual life, you will feel it. Yes. Of course, devotee is always humble and feels very fallen. That's the paradox on the other side. But still, we can, there is ways to measure our advancement. And that's something we should do regularly, and we should, really take shelter and pray to the Lord, pray to Guru and Krishna that we can become instruments in the hand of the Lord, because Krishna needs us. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu needs us. Srila Prabhupada needs us in his movement. Because as we see here, Agnidra, he takes over from Maharaj Priyavrata. And similarly in ISKCON also, we have to take over this movement and continue the mission of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada has big plans, Like the big plan is to save the world, so we better become qualified to do something kind of substantial for Prabhupada's mission. And for that we need to first work on ourselves, become truly spiritually advanced, and then hopefully we can also do something. And slowly, more and more bring some dharma back into society, and then this hellish condition of Kali Yuga can be a little bit counteracted, at least for those who have interest, those who really seriously want to take to Krishna consciousness. For them we should give some shelter, some like oasis, where people can actually make progress in spiritual life. Okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are already a little bit over time. If someone needs to go, otherwise I take one or two questions. Yes. Hare Krishna.
What is the difference between Swadharma and Dharma? Could you please explain?
Yes, I mean, dharma is a very general term, which just means, dharma can mean many things. It can mean religion, it can mean the divine order. That's just a general principle, dharma. But then we have Sanatan Dharma, Manushya Dharma, Swadharma, Stri Dharma, so many different dharmas. As I explained, Sanatana Dharma is the eternal Dharma, is the connection to God. Manusya Dharma is the Dharma for human society, that's moral ethics. Then Varnashram Dharma is social Dharma, how to behave, how to integrate in society, how to play a part in society, that's Varnashram Dharma. And then Swadharma is my personal Dharma. Personal Dharma means according to my karma, according to my past life, and according to my prarabdha karma, I need to learn certain things. You know, I have some talents, and Krishna wants me to engage these talents in his service, and I need to learn some things. I have some weaknesses, I need to learn things. So that's my Swadharma, to learn things and to engage my talents according to in my life. And that we also need to find out with the help of Guru, the help of astrology and palmistry. This kind of thing can help us to recognize our personal Dharma. So, but ideally we follow all these Dharmas, Sanatan, Manusya, Varnashram and Swadharma. And if we follow all these Dharmas, then we will become very satisfied in our life. Because we are in harmony with Dharma. Yeah. But if one of these is missing, then we're getting into problems. And nowadays most people miss all of them missing. Most people, they don't have any of these dharmas. Then naturally they will be in difficulties. Yeah.
Okay, for the next presentation, about the progress, the advances of modern civilization. Krishna Bhakti said that the intermediate plants flow is going to have much material advances. Yes. When the God consciousness go down, the material progress
Goes up.
arises. Yes. Increase. And if you compare
When God conscious goes down, the material advancement goes up.
and if you compare the West society, especially before after the Renaissance, the conditions is very difficult to have God consciousness, but especially about technology and medicine. Can you imagine for amputated a member in this stuff? That's too much suffering. And of course, we have too much advancement in technology, in science, in medicine, but one thing go down. What this thing was this consciousness.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. In a sense, also, of course, we have the principle of Yukta Vairagya that even if modern technology is improving, we can try to dovetail it, use it in Krishna service. And actually, here also, religion plays an important role because technology is going more and more advanced, but the consciousness of people goes down and down. How do they actually handle this modern technology? It will only be misused. And here, a religious or spiritual tradition play an important role to, again, remind people of dharma, of moral, how to properly apply these technologies.
Especially in academy, we had an interesting discussion about this. A philosopher, a figure from the Frankfurt School in the 50s, called Heiner, he said science is bad or good because the science is a product of the consciousness. Consciousness creates all. So have advanced, but when we get in the 20th century, it's a very confused, century. The technology created atomic bomb and the armies in mass destruction because the consciousness decayed.
Yes.
And Prabhupada, when Krishna came to Western civilization, he came Krishna consciousness. He bring the Krishna consciousness. He bring the pure consciousness. This is the solution.
Yeah, thank you for the point that science in itself is not good or bad. It's a matter of consciousness, how to apply the science, and for that we need the proper consciousness. And yeah, Krishna conscious is in that way the solution. And of course, when you speak of Krishna conscious, you speak of a God conscious. It's not a sectarian thing. Also, when Prabhupada says that Hare Krishna is the only solution for the world, it can be understood very sectarian in the sense only Hare Krishna can save the world. It's God conscious that can save the world. And if other traditions also raise their consciousness, they also contribute to that, that saving the world. It's not that it's only the Hare Krishnas who can do that. It's anyone who, it's spirituality, those who have a higher consciousness, they will be able to help save the world. And that's why it's interesting that Prabhupada speaks about connecting and working together. Alright, so we'll end here. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande. Sure. There is a priest. You may hand over the flower to the priest. Yeah. Yeah. This box you can give to the priest. Yeah. Thank you.
Харе Кришна. Не очень хочу.
Здесь посидим?
Нет, просто мы получим наше божество, посмотрим. Не кого-то, а дадим возможность, чтобы вас увидел Господь.
С такой прической.
Без разницы. Ну, твою душу смотрим.
Да,
Что ты сказал, что
с такой прической.
просто как бы кланяйся, а куда не кланяться?
Ну, вниз.
Тут причем главное такие.
Левым плечом.
Левым.
Так.
О,
А правым
хорошо,
правым
на
нельзя.
Еще посмотрим.
Мне больше нравится, когда они все в зеленом.
Давайте.
Переодевайся.
Или где?
Да, два раза.
Маленький.
Сейчас тут, да, два раза.
А ты прямо вот так вот или вот так вот?
Лево.
Лево.
Туда.
Божеством лево.
Сидишь вокруг, и все равно левый.
А, ну да.
Лево членство компании, лево божество.
По-другому понял.
Тоже слева.
Правильно.
Потому что самое вкусное.
What's the Maha incense? You can light it and put it in your home and talk to the ladies.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare